Hi everyone, today you're going to have a revisit on this Liquid AIO coming from Lian, known as the Galahad 2 Lite. I've actually done a full content on this Liquid AIO. If you guys have missed it, you can click on my top right hand corner and it will take you to the full coverage of this Liquid AIO. Now as for today's revisit, someone on Reddit have messaged me asking me this question. Hey Kyo, check it out. The ARGB version fans compared to the non-ARGB, right? The specs are much higher. So which will perform better? Well, I will investigate this and to share with you guys my experience, be it the non-ARGB or the ARGB fans. See how much different it is. As the whole Liquid AIO is of the same structure and such, I will bypass that, but I will go into details talking about the fans, what are the difference, and how are they being connected and such. With this said, I'd like to thank Lian to have provided another unit. In fact, I've requested for the fans, but they are so generous that they give me another set. Thank you very much. And also to Block Soda to have done the arrangement on the delivery. Both these fans have identical area. First of all, both are making use of 7 blades and have a thickness of 28mm, and all are running at 12 DC current. Now the only difference are, which is the specification and of course the ARGB. I will leave both specs on my left. Starting off with the non-ARGB, this is using fluid dynamic bearing and has a measurement of 124 by 120. And the CFM is at 73.14 CFM. As for the static pressure is at 5mm H2O. The noise at max is at 29.8 decibel. And it has a minimum RPM of 200 all the way to 2500. And it's drawing each of this fan at a current of 0.27 ampere. As for the ARGB fans, the measurements is 120 by 120. Is of equal as compared to the non, which you have 124 over here and 120. Now this are making use of the different bearing, which is the hydraulic bearing, and it has a CFM of 79 with a noise decibel of 34.8, and the static pressure is at 5.1 millimeter H2O. And for the starting point, the minimum RPM is at 300 as compared to the non-ARGB, which is at 200, and max, which is similar to the non, at 2500 RPM. And for the current drawn rate is 0.24 ampere for each fans. I'll skip on the structure and the build of the non-ARGB as I already covered that. Now as for the ARGB, it's very sturdy, similar to the non-ARGB. The thing is that I feel much lighter with this fans as compared to the non-ARGB. I guess it's because of this clip on the non-ARGB that adds on to the weight. Now both ends have rubber grommets. Okay, and the thing is the daisy chain is slightly different from the original, or should I say the non-ARGB. As for the non-ARGB, right, you only have the 4 pin from one end to another end. See, it's pretty straightforward. Then you just hide these cables and you can just cover it, conceal it. It's pretty straightforward. Now for the ARGB is slightly different. Okay, let me just put this one side. For the ARGB version, instead of having the 4 pin, right, it has a proprietary 7 pin. So you just clip it. But instead of concealing it, now do be careful when you're dismantling these fans because the cables are pretty short when you do the daisy chain. Right, and there is a lever for you if you want to release, right, you gotta press this. Okay, so when you clip it back, right, you just clip and you can just tuck it in. See, this is how you actually tuck in. Tuck it in and you can mount with your screws this way. See? so that the cable will remain inside. Another thing I noticed is that the radiator screws, okay, let me just remove this. Now for the non-ARGB fans, right, the unit, or should I say the Liquid AIO that comes with it, the screws are shorter, okay, as compared to the ARGB. You can have a look. See, on my right is the ARGB, on my left is the non-ARGB. Reason for this, right, for the non-ARGB, right, there are countersunk holes. See, it just goes in and it reaches out here. Else for the ARGB, right, it doesn't have any countersunk on both areas, so when you plug this in, right, you need a longer screw to go through, which again have this much. So basically both have the same length to hold on to your radiator. It's just that do note that for the non-ARGB, the ARGB, right, has a longer screw. So in the event, why am I telling you this is that in the event if you are to purchase a non-ARGB and you decide to change the fans, you might want to take note on the thickness of your fans. If it is 25mm thick, right, you can use the short screws. But if you are using like T30s and such, or the D30s from, you know, Fantex and such, right, it's 30mm thick, and you can't make use of the screws. They are too short. I'll first start off with the noise test, and this is how I set up everything in the processor. The RAMs and the radiator is actually on my right, and the wind that is drawing from the back pushing through the radiator. And this is the original fans, which are non-ARGB, and my microphone is here away from the radiator about 1 feet. Once after this test is done, right, I will swap out only the fans, since the rest of the Liquid AIO, right, are of the same spec, only the fans. So I just swap out the fans and to test the noise. So just do a sound test on the microphone, and this is how it sounds like when it's at idle. Now I'm just going to ramp up the CV bench, and this is how it sounds like at load. It's going back to idle. Again, I'm going to do it one more time. This is at idle. And this is where I run the Cinebench, and this is at load. Now I'm going to do a sound test on the ARGB fans, as you can see here, Lite. Okay, these are the ARGB fans, and doing a sound test on the mic away from the radiator area about 1 feet, and here it sounds like when it's at idle. Now I'm just going to run the Cinebench, and this is how it sounds like when it's at load. One cycle have done, and I'll let it cool down. to let you hear the idle and the load again. This is at idle. Now I'm going to run Cinebench, and this is at load. Tell me what you think about the noise. I'm just gonna do a 5 seconds, or maybe 5 seconds on the non-ARGB and 5 seconds on the ARGB. So continuously about 3 cycles, and you decide which is much more noisier. And right after the noise test, I will be conducting the thermal test. For the test result, there will be two. One which is meant for the non-ARGB fans, and the other which is for the ARGB fans. Now, these are the system specs that I make use of. You can pause it and have a look. The things that I've actually done on tweaks, which is to enable the expo profile on my RAMs, and for the PPA, two limits, right? Be it the first test or the second test, as mentioned to you on the both different fans. These are the settings, which is PPT of this value, TDC of this value, and EDC of this value. And this value will tally up or showing on the Ryzen Master, okay, throughout the whole run. And I've done the curve optimizer to -18 and a V-core offset of -0.1 volt. And things you need to take note during the run itself, right? When I explain stuff, you can have a look on all these stats over here. By the way, I'll record down and to compare it with the other Liquid AIO with the ARGB fans. Okay, all is listed over here. And do take note, the MOS is actually the VRAMs. And why am I showing you this? Based on the fact that this core clock, right, having this frequency over here, right, is in fact taking the average of all the 16 core. And the graph over here, take note, as I am aiming on a consistent kind of clock speed, so this will show. Now as I run, right, for the first few minutes, starting off with the non-ARGB fans, and this is how it goes, and starting nothing much to see, so I'm going to drag all the way to the last 3 minutes, which is somewhere around here. See, these are the stats. It is doing very well. In fact, this cooler is always impressive. When I first play with it, the name Lite don't even come into my mind when I start to look at results. Alright, with this said, right, some of you are familiar with what I'm doing right now. I will just take down the readings or temperature. Now this is in fact non-ARGB, and this is in fact ARGB. Okay, so this is indication of the fans. Now for the CPU temperature is at 81 degrees Celsius. Okay, I will take it to the max, though it hover around 80 to 81. Then for the clock speed, I will have a look over here. See, most of the time it's actually 5.2, so I just put 5.2 gig. For the motherboard temperature, which is over here, 46. Okay, I'll just take it 46. VRM will be at 54.5. Okay, and the chipset, did I put a chipset? Okay, no, I didn't place the chipset, so sorry about this. So this will be void. DDR5 will be at 44.0. No, wait. Oh, okay, 42.5. It's the other way around. See, B2 and A2. So yep, for the other one, which is 44 degrees, and the M.2 is 45. Now by the end of the run, for the results on this Cinebench score, right, before I talk about that, take a look. It's very consistent. See, I can rewind this and show you. See, there are some drops over here. It's very common, as at times, right, the system will try to pull, and when it can't pull, right, it will just drop. But I would say that after a certain period of time, right, it's very consistent. See, this is about the 3-minute mark or so. See, it's very consistent all the way. Then as for the result, this is the result. So it's reading at 35,788. Okay, this is the score for the non-ARGB. Now coming to the ARGB, as you can see over here. So as I run again, at the beginning nothing much, you will just pull and pull and pull. So let's not waste time. I'm going to drag to the last 3 minutes, and this is it. Again, I'm just going to take down the readings. Oh, before I take down readings, take a look at the graph again. It's consistent. See, based on the fact that I'm not changed out the Liquid AIO. The Liquid AIO is always there. The only thing that I've changed is only the fans. So right now I'm just going to go to the last 3 minutes and run, and to take down the readings. For the temperature, see, 79 degrees Celsius. Okay, or 81. Okay, let's take it 81. Then on the clock speed, it's also 5.2. Then for the, okay, probably I need to type this out. For the motherboard, temperature will be 45, and the VRM, the MOSFET itself, is 54.5. Okay, about the same. Interesting. Alright, DDR5, the B2 slot is 42.2, and the DDR5A2 is at 43.5. Yep, that's right. Okay, as for the score, let me just pull till the end. This is the score, which is at 35,985. Alright, forgotten one, temperature over here. Okay, let me just run through. Okay, last 3 minutes. Okay, the last 3 minutes is hovering around 44 to 45. I'll take it as 45. Okay. Now with this result, have a look. Okay, let's see. With the non-ARGB, right, the temperature, be it the non-ARGB or the ARGB, both having the same temperature, and the clock speed consistently at 5.2 gig. And the motherboard, yep, the ARGB is slightly better, which is 1 degree lower. Then the VRM is the same. As for the RAMs, see, the ARGB is slightly lower. As for the M.2, it's about the same. But the score, take a look, it's 200 more on the ARGB side. Now, as to conclude, well, there's nothing major changes on the ARGB or the non-ARGB, but it did somehow increase in certain score. My conclusion, is it worth my time to investigate between the non-ARGB and the ARGB fans based on paper spec? Well, just like, is it worth the time for you to watch this content? My answer to you, yes, definitely. As a consumer, okay, myself, if I were to purchase either of this Liquid AIO, I know that they are good, but I'm just wondering, is the ARGB as good as the non-ARGB? Clio have done a review on this non-ARGB, but what about the ARGB? If I purchase this, right, yes, on paper spec, it is written very nicely, but sometimes when I purchase some ARGB fans, right, On paper spec it's very nice, but when you start to use it, right, it's of a different story. See, that's the thing. So it is worth every single minute that I've done this test. Is proven the ARGB fans, right, indeed did perform slightly better as compared to the non-ARGB fans, and the specification written on the website, it does matches, so that I have a peace of mind. And okay, be it whether, okay, the slight difference in performance is not very much, but at least you have a peace of mind when you purchase this Liquid AIO, right? Be it whether you purchase the non-ARGB or the ARGB, both will perform on par, and this is slightly better. Okay, as I mentioned to you, I've done 3 sets on both Liquid AIO, 30 minutes, 5 minutes, and 10 minutes. This is one set. Okay, on each I've done 3 sets, and I pick up the best. So this has proven that on the Lian website, right, stating that this ARGB fans are of slightly better specification as compared to the non-ARGB, it does check out. You have seen the result, so you have an ease of mind to get it. By the way, both of this unit, right, they are of the same price, which is here in Singapore, $165, which is around 155 or so in USD. Both are of the same price, so be whether you choose the ARGB or the non-ARGB, the performance is there. You don't have to think about whether which is, you don't have to be skeptic whether the ARGB will perform or not. Alright, hope you guys have actually enjoyed what I've shared with you, and with this I thank Lian, so generous of you to have provided another unit for me to test with. But I didn't test with the Liquid AIO, instead I made use of same one, just to show that by changing your fans, right, what's the impact. Anyway, thank you Lian, and to Block Soda to have done the arrangement on the delivery. For you who is actually new to my channel, welcome to my channel. If you like my content, do remember to subscribe and to hit on the notification bell button. Till then, take care, goodbye, see ya.